Grok 4.5, Gemini 3.5 Pro, and DeepSeek V4 are all fighting for the same research crown, and I ran the same 5 tests on all 3 to see who actually earns it. The biggest surprise isn't which model wins, it's that 2 of these 3 don't even have public numbers to compete with in most categories. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which one you can actually trust with real work today, and which 2 are still running on rumors. Pick the expensive model for a workflow running all day, and the bill catches up with you fast. So let's start with what these 3 actually charge. Grok 4.5 publishes clean numbers, $2 per million input tokens and $6 per million output tokens, with a cash rate of just 30 cents per million tokens on repeated prompts. That's a real, confirmed price you can build a budget around today. Gemini 3.5 Pro is a different story. Community-reported estimates put it somewhere around $12 to $15 per million input tokens and $36 to $45 per million output tokens. That's 6 to 7 times more expensive than Grok 4.5 on input alone, and Google hasn't confirmed any of it. Treat that number as a rumor, not a rate card. DeepSeek V4 has no public pricing at all for input or output tokens. I couldn't find a published figure for either one. What I can tell you is a piece of scale math from community reporting. At 1,000 tasks a month, DeepSeek V4 would reportedly cost around $27 total, or about 2.5 cents per task. If that number holds up once real pricing lands, it's unbelievably cheap. Grok 4.5 wins this test clean, because it's the only model here with a real, confirmed price you can actually plan around instead of guessing at. But right now, that's a community estimate, not something DeepSeek has confirmed. My name is Brian, and I spend my week digging through pricing pages, benchmark reports, and API docs so you don't have to piece this together yourself. Cost doesn't matter if the model can't do the work, so here's where the coding numbers separate fact from marketing. On SWE-bench Verified, the benchmark that tests models against real GitHub issues instead of toy problems, Grok 4.5 scores 86.6%. But among these 3 specific models is the only verified number on the board. Gemini 3.5 Pro has no published SWE-bench figure. I couldn't find a coding benchmark score for it anywhere in the research. One of the biggest problems I run into when using AI agents is turning their output into YouTube content I can actually use to market my product. That's why this video is sponsored by Subscriber, a tool that helps business owners connect their AI agents to YouTube and market their products without spending 10 hours every week creating content. You can connect Claude or ChatGPT directly to Subscriber. It then analyzes your business, website, and YouTube channel to help you create SEO-optimized video ideas, scripts, thumbnails, and even complete videos that actually match your brand. What I like most is that every week, Subscriber gives me a list of high-potential video ideas I can immediately execute, and it can even help edit videos for me, with or without my face, including videos like the one you're watching right now. It's easy to get started, and you can try Subscriber for free using the link in the description below. Now back to the video. DeepSeek V4 is the same story. No public coding benchmark data exists for it either. So this test comes down to one simple fact. Grok 4.5 is the only one of these 3 willing to show its coding work with a real number. Grok 4.5 takes this round too, not because 86.6% is untouchable, but because it's the only score that exists to evaluate. That's community reported, and worth noting it trails Claude Opus 5's 96% and Kimi K3's 93.4% in the broader field. A model that codes well but takes forever to respond, breaks your workflow the moment you're running it in a loop. So let's talk speed. Independent testing puts Grok 4.5's output throughput between 91 and 119 tokens per second, and its time to first token lands between 13 and 17 seconds. Both of those are confirmed, independently measured numbers. Gemini 3.5 Pro has no published throughput figure and no published time to first token number. DeepSeek V4 is in the same boat. No independent speed data exists for it at all. Once again, Grok 4.5 is the only model in this comparison with numbers you can actually verify. It wins this test by default, not because its speed is untouchable in the broader market, but because it's the only one that showed up with receipts. Stick with me, because the last 4 tests are where this decision actually flips. Now stick with me, because this is the one test where the story actually gets more interesting than a clean sweep. Grok 4.5's context window sits at roughly 500,000 tokens, and that number is confirmed. Gemini 3.5 Pro is rumored to carry a context window around 2 million tokens, which would be roughly 4 times larger than Grok 4.5's confirmed number. Because one number is confirmed and the other is an unconfirmed rumor, I'm calling context window a tie. It's not fair to hand Gemini 3.5 Pro the win on a number nobody's actually seen in production, but it's also not fair to ignore that if the rumor is true, it would be a real advantage. DeepSeek V4 has no published context window figure at all. On output limits, the story flips back to Grok 4.5. Neither Gemini 3.5 Pro nor DeepSeek V4 has a published output limit I could find. Grok 4.5 takes the output half of this test outright, so the overall verdict on this dimension is a tie, one real number against one rumored number, with DeepSeek V4 sitting out entirely, because there's simply nothing to score. But I want to be honest about what that word rumored means here. Nobody has verified it, Google hasn't confirmed it, and it's not something you can build a workflow around yet. Its output caps out around 32 to 64,000 tokens per response, and that's confirmed. Here's the test that actually humbles Grok 4.5 a little, and it's worth slowing down on. Grok 4.5 is currently available only through xAI's own API. It's not on Azure, and it's not on AWS Bedrock. Gemini 3.5 Pro isn't in a better spot. It's stuck in a limited Vertex AI preview, not generally available to most people. Backed by Google's enterprise ecosystem on paper, sure, but a preview isn't a product you can build a business on yet. DeepSeek V4 has no deployment data published at all, so there's nothing to score here either. This test has no winner. Grok 4.5 is confined to its own API, Gemini 3.5 Pro is locked behind a preview wall, and DeepSeek V4 is a complete unknown on this front. I'm calling this one exactly what it is. None of the three earns the point. If your team already lives inside one of those ecosystems, that's a real limitation, not a footnote. Grok 4.5 wins on the numbers that actually exist. It's the only model here with a confirmed 86.6% on SWE Bench verified. The only one with independently measured speed at 91 to 119 tokens per second, and the cheapest confirmed pricing at $2 in and $6 out per million tokens. Gemini 3.5 Pro's entire case rests on a rumor, an unconfirmed 2 million token context window that would dwarf Grok 4.5's confirmed 500,000, backed by Google's name and Vertex AI infrastructure, none of which is generally available yet. DeepSeek V4's case is almost entirely community goodwill. A projected $27 a month at 1,000 tasks sounds incredible, but there's no public pricing, no coding benchmark, no speed data, and no deployment information to back any of it up yet. Grok 4.5 is the winner here, and it's not close. It's the only model of the three with confirmed, verifiable numbers across cost, coding performance, and speed, the three dimensions that actually decide whether a model is usable for real research work today. If you need a reliable, fast, and cost-effective model available right now, Grok 4.5 is your default, because it's the only one that showed up to every test with a real answer, instead of a rumor or a blank space. If you're willing to wait for a general availability release and you specifically need a massive context window, Gemini 3.5 Pro is worth watching, but you're betting on an unconfirmed number and a preview stage product. And if you're extremely cost-sensitive and can tolerate completely unverified performance, DeepSeek V4's community-reported value story is tempting, but right now it's a bet, not a decision. The decisive reason for Grok 4.5, 3 verified wins, 1 honest tie, and 0 categories where it simply didn't show up. That's not true of the other two. Here's what none of the marketing around these three tells you. Gemini 3.5 Pro gets called a top contender, constantly in coverage and community chatter, but there is no headline number behind that claim, no confirmed pricing, no confirmed benchmark, no general availability. It's a reputation built on a name and a rumor, not on a single verified figure you can point to. Before you plan a workflow around it, remember that top contender is doing a lot of work with 0 data behind it. If you want to see how Grok 4.5 holds up against the models that actually have confirmed coding scores above it, like Claude Opus 5 and Kimi K3, that's the comparison to watch next.